Welcome back. Today we're working on an older Ranger 500 with a running issue. It was having trouble idling by itself, then starting by itself. It would have problems without some throttle input. And then once throttle input was applied, it would also have issues as well. It would struggle. So I have already checked fuel pressure. During fuel pressure, I take a fuel sample. That checks out good. We're going to try some new spark plugs here. See if that has anything to do with it. I've already had the computer hooked up to it. We found some codes. Started messing with some wires for those codes. Found a couple issues. So pretty common on older Polarises to find broken wires at the TPS. Not as common to find broken wires at the idle air control valve. But this machine had broken wires at both locations. Polaris has a bunch of these repair harnesses. They don't come with the colored wires that they replace, so you have to pay careful attention to which wires are going in which pin. I've already gotten the TPS repaired, and it still did not run well at all. I started digging into it again. Throttle position settings. Here I'm doing instead of on the computer, Polaris has this special harness. You can check it with a voltage meter, multimeter. And I'm checking it, and it's good, but as soon as I plug it back in, it does not want to run very well at all. I started digging into it a little bit more here, checking wires, making sure they're in the right spot, and come to find out I must have hooked up one of the wires in the incorrect location for the TPS, throttle position sensor. Here I'm undoing the loom all the way back until I get the factory colors again. Double check in, and sure enough, something was in the wrong spot. So I got to pull the pins out, swap them over, get them in the right spot, and try again. Now that we got them in the right spot, we can put the loom back on and test it again. After that, it's all good to go. We'll pull in the next machine here. This Polaris General came in for a noise while driving. And after checking it out, I found that the front differential input shaft bearing had come apart, and it actually pushed the seal out. So the front diff was all dry. The bearing is obviously bad, as you can see here. That's what a new one looks like. We'll get this new front differential in here and get the machine back together. Now we decided to just replace this front differential due to the fact that the old one had ran dry for as long as it did. With that, not just the input shaft bearing would have been dry, but both output shaft bearings would have been dry. The gear mating surfaces would have been worn, probably would have been noisy. The gear set would have been noisy. So you replace all the bearings and the gear set, you're right up there with the price of a brand new unit. So we just replace that. Get this front suspension back together, get some fluid in it, and send him on his way. Here we have an older Skidoo with an idling issue. Came in for an idling issue. Could have been a blow up. In this video here you see intake boots after the carburetors. Well, this one's fuel injected, so it's throttle bodies. But you'll see it on carbureted stuff too. The intake boots separate, and what happens is they'll suck air in right there. And when a two-stroke gets too much air, it's lean, and they tend to burn down. And then you're putting pistons and cylinders in it. We'll pull these throttle bodies back and get all these screws out. These intake boots are, the factory ones anyway, are part of the reed cage. The V-Force reeds, this is an aftermarket, well-known aftermarket company that we're putting in. The reeds are separate from the intake boots, so next time if they buy V-Force intake boots, it won't cost nearly as much. Now we'll get this thing back together, give it a little test run here. You'll see when the door opens in a second we didn't have any snow, otherwise I would have gone for a test drive. Button this thing up and call the customer. Here we have Polaris 800 with exhaust valve codes and issues. These first generation electronically controlled exhaust valves have some common issues where they don't like to try and relearn. And I say relearn is we hook up to the computer and tell the machine to relearn the valves, which it opens the valve all the way open, and there's like a position sensor in there that tells it it's open, and then we tell it to close, and it learns its open and closed positions and stores that in the computer. Well, when you're running it and it doesn't reach one of those values, it'll throw code, which is what happened to this vehicle. So the electronic exhaust valves would not relearn their positions, and that can be caused by multiple issues. So we gotta go through, make sure the exhaust valves are clean, because if they're sticking, then they won't reach their position as well. We'll make sure those are clean. It is usually caused by a bad exhaust valve actuator or the exhaust valve motor. So dirty exhaust valves was not the problem. What we actually found was an incorrect length on the exhaust valve cable. It threw the computer off just enough where it would not relearn, so we put a new cable in it. Right outside for a little test, and that was it. Kind of a simple problem, but we gotta run through all the hoops. We'll get this thing buttoned up and call the customer. Well, that's all for this one. See you next time.